Let's talk about the evolution of the American superhero. Today, it's a sterile, carefully managed corporate circus. The heroes you see on your screens are walking billboards, terrified of a bad hashtag or a drop in their Q rating. They spend more time practicing their fake apologies than actually fighting crime.
Don't forget to subscribe to Vought Plus. We've got the new Cameron Coleman documentary, and if you don't watch it, you're literally committing treason.
Exactly. They are performers. But go back 50 years, and the landscape was completely different. Vought wasn't in the business of making influencers. They were in the business of manufacturing gods. And their first true god was Soldier Boy.
Okay, but wasn't he just an older version of Homelander, just with a slightly worse fashion sense?
That is the biggest misconception in superhero history. Homelander and Soldier Boy are fundamentally entirely different beasts. You see, Homelander is a corporate experiment that went horribly wrong. He was raised in a cold, sterile laboratory, starved of human connection. That's why he acts the way he does. He is a pathetic, deeply insecure man-child who is basically just looking for a mommy to breastfeed him, or a daddy to give him a pat on the back.
I'm proud of you, boy.
Thanks.
If the crowd ever stops cheering for him, he will literally laser everyone's heads off. But Soldier Boy? He grew up in the real world. He tasted true power before the internet, before PR teams could control the narrative. He didn't care if people liked him. He demanded that they fear him. He was raw, unfiltered, and deeply toxic.
So he was a bully. Got it.
A bully doesn't even begin to cover it. To understand the absolute madness of Soldier Boy, you have to look at the people he associated with. Back in the day, he helped found Herogasm, a secret, utterly wild weekend retreat for soups to fulfill their most sickening fantasies. And his frequent partner in all of this? A beloved American hero named Liberty. But Liberty was living a massive lie. Her real name was Clara Vought, and she was Stormfront, a literal, card-carrying Nazi from the 1930s who rebranded herself to sound like a patriot.
Wait a second. He was hooking up with an actual Nazi?
It was far more than just hooking up, Hans. He was genuinely in love with her. He didn't care about her vile ideology. He just loved her. In fact, he loved Stormfront so much that he willingly handed over his own Compound V-infused genetic material to Vought just for her. That decision directly led to the creation of Homelander. But this is where the story of Vought gets truly insane. Fast forward a few decades. Homelander, the so-called greatest hero on Earth, ends up in a relationship with exactly the same Nazi.
The Vought dating pool is that small?
It's not just about who he dated. It's about how deeply broken Homelander is compared to his predecessor. Soldier Boy loved Stormfront as an equal. But Homelander? Homelander was so starved for a mother figure, so utterly pathetic, that he allowed Stormfront to completely manipulate him. He used a literal Nazi to fulfill his twisted Oedipal fantasies and feel like a real man.
Okay, I think I need to wash my brain with soap right now.
It gets wilder, Hans. Even after Stormfront was brutally mutilated, reduced to a burnt, limbless stump in a hospital bed, Homelander was still visiting her room. He was still using the charred remains of a Nazi to sexually relieve himself because he was that desperate for any form of validation. That is the difference between the two eras. Homelander is a weak, needy lab rat who hides his crazy fetishes behind a cape. Soldier Boy was a dominant, terrifying force of nature who broke everyone around him just for fun. Just look at how he treated his own teammates in Payback. Today's heroes at least pretend to like each other. Soldier Boy treated his team like human garbage. He didn't want allies. He wanted punching bags. If anyone in Payback dared to step into his spotlight, he would brutally remind them of their place.
I heard Black Noir used to talk before he met Soldier Boy. Is that true?
Yes, Black Noir was actually a rising star. He was charming, ambitious, and he had just landed a major role in the movie Beverly Hills Cop. He was about to become a household name, entirely independent of Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy's fragile ego couldn't handle that. He cornered Noir and beat him with such savage, unchecked violence that part of Noir's brain literally fell out of his skull. He left him permanently muted, scarred for life, and so mentally shattered that for the rest of his life, Noir could only talk and play with the imaginary cartoon animals inside his head. And the rest of the team? Crimson Countess, Gunpowder, Mindstorm? They had to stand there and watch, literally wetting themselves out of pure terror, knowing they could be next.
So they were basically living in a hostage situation.
Exactly. But terror can only keep people in line for so long. Eventually, a caged animal will bite back. By 1984, Vought realized Soldier Boy was a liability. He was completely unmanageable, getting American soldiers killed with his reckless arrogance. And more importantly, Vought had their new, shiny replacement ready in the lab, Homelander. But taking out Soldier Boy wasn't like taking out a normal target. You don't just shoot an indestructible tank. You have to orchestrate a betrayal so massive, so deeply personal, that he never sees it coming. During a chaotic mission in the jungles of Nicaragua, his entire team turned on him. The people he had terrorized for decades finally snapped. They ambushed him. It was a bloodbath, but they managed to subdue the unkillable king of America just long enough to hand him over to the Russians.
And Vought just pretended he died a hero, right?
Of course. They threw a parade, built a statue, and buried the horrifying truth. For decades, Soldier Boy was subjected to unimaginable, agonizing torture in a frozen Russian laboratory. And because of those exact radiation tortures, his body mutated into a living, breathing nuclear bomb. He was completely forgotten by the world he used to rule. But what if that betrayal never happened? What if Payback failed to take him down in that jungle? What if Soldier Boy walked out of Nicaragua, marched straight into the top floors of Vought Tower, and realized they were trying to replace him? If you want to see the mind-blowing alternate reality where Soldier Boy remains the undisputed king of the world, you have to watch our next video. Click the link on your screen right now to see the ultimate what-if scenario. The true chaos is just getting started.